are there reasons why many initiatives in the civic tech space, maybe in the African context, are not able to scale?
Sure. So there are several or countless reasons we can point out, but I'll try to list a few. Number one has to do with we don't have a conducive enabling environment in Africa specifically. What do I mean by that? For civic tech to scale, you have to look at that environment in which they exist. Basically, there are a lot of countries in Africa where you have shrinking spaces, shrinking democratic spaces. Liberia case is a bit different, but there are countries in Africa, with specific reference to, some of these West African states where the government is either clamping down on civil society or organizations or initiatives that are actually demanding accountability, integrity, open governance. Oftentimes you'll find other, folks who are in that space, like journalists and other civil society folks. Like in recent time in Liberia, we are finding about 4 auditors were killed mysteriously. Another journalist was killed as well recently. And these were guys that were kind of digging out or trying to come up with some conclusion on some of these investigation. You'll find that maybe there are other institutions that are in the space that are trying to move forward because of this, fear for their life and fear for the life of their family. You find some of these institutions will be more shrink down instead of scaling up. Also, with the work in the civic space, you have to get a buy-in, right? Because you can talk all you want to, but if you don't have a good buy-in or penetration in terms of the government receptiveness towards some of these tech, civic tech initiatives, you'll find that, if you develop content, you develop content or you produce programs that are there to encourage the government to be more responsible or more responsive to their citizens, and also helping the citizens to hold their government accountable. If you don't have that buy-in or a way to get around the government so that you find some reception for your work to go on, you'll find out that some of these initiatives will die natural death. So, like what I say, one of the greatest challenges is really creating that enabling environment where these initiatives can be able to scale. Another thing I would talk about is trust. In Africa, sometimes the loudest voices are what people tend to believe. So in a case such as Liberia will be the government. The government has all of the resources. They can even buy the media, to kind of propagate or send out their messages. So the more the government has control of the resources and everything else, it's easy for them to be that voice that most citizens would trust. If you are coming in as a civic tech practitioner or a civil society person and you're trying to, counter react or trying to send out certain messages that will show that, yes, maybe the government is not doing certain things right, the government needs to do these things, and this is how things should be done within, equally distributing wealth and making sure the citizens have what they want. There needs to be a balance where people learn to trust these civic tech practitioners that whatever they're saying, is in line with international best practices, and that's what the government should do, for example, or that's what big actors within the society should do. But if you don't have that buy-in from the citizens to trust the work you do, it creates that scenario where what's the essence of why I'm doing, what I'm doing? Because I'm saying stuff, I'm doing things, but then people don't believe me and so forth. So really, I think one of the critical pieces is to create that trust so that people trust what you're saying, people trust what you're doing. And then finally, just to wrap up on this, I'll say the last thing is the infrastructure. with Liberia, we have less than 10% of the population that have access to electricity. Less than 6% have access to pipe-borne water. Less than 10% have access to stable and reliable internet connection. Um, now with the 21st century, you see the proliferation of the internet, the social media and other means through where, civic tech initiatives or civil society can really track. But if you have less than 10% of the population really online, it creates that barrier so that that's why we encourage the people we work with in Liberia to use sometimes low tech means, low tech initiatives, so that we can use the radio, we can use town hall meetings, we can use some low tech billboards and all of that. We can use music, we can use short films where we take it to the villages and be able to send out these messages because once we know already the infrastructure is not there to really support the tech component of civic engagement, civic participation, how can we use low tech means as well? So yeah, the enabling environment, the trust, and the infrastructure are those three things I will kind of mention that kind of serve currently as a barrier, especially in Liberia, to really skilling up these civic tech initiatives we have here.